I'm here with Jonathan Antsock, author of Teach the Children Well and member of the advocacy group Protecting Childhood. Thanks for joining me, Jonathan.
Pleasure, Joe.
Tell me what brought you to the group Protecting Childhood.
Joe, it's a career of 45 years in education and seeing some of the things now that are happening which are really bringing pressure on little children, making it hard for teachers as well to do their task without pressure. And also just hearing story after story now of great challenges in the education profession. And we formed this year, our advocacy group formed this year because of a certain domino effect of events. One was a lady called Kathy Margolis, teacher, who resigned after 30 years of being a primary school teacher. Couldn't take any more, decided that the system just needed to change, and she wrote a Facebook blurb about why she'd resigned, and it went viral. It got shared 40,000 times right across Australia and internationally as well. It got press, substantial press. And at the same time, a lady by the name of Gabrielle Stroud in New South Wales, she was interviewed by Richard Feidler on ABC Conversations, and she was saying exactly the same things that Kathy was saying. So it's not just a state-based thing, it's across the state, across the country. Mm-hmm. And when you listen to what they're saying, it's really heartbreaking because there's a top-down pressure coming on expectations of children, expectations of teachers, and that sort of pressure is not working. Mm-hmm.
So with our little kids, are you talking about testing and the move away from play-based education?
Absolutely. Play-based education is getting forgotten about. We're going straight to the head now to try and get children to understand things that they've never had to understand or do before when they're 4 or 5, 6 years of age. So those requirements of being able to do these things and a curriculum which in actual fact, it just makes me wonder who wrote a curriculum, aspects of the curriculum for 4, 5, 6-year-old children, expecting them to do some of these things, understand some of these things at this age. They've never done it before. So the fact that they're expected to do more than they've ever done before is working against their readiness. Children are ready to do things at certain ages, and testing doesn't help the situation. Mm-hmm.
So do we have some proof anywhere that play-based education is in fact the way to go?
We know that international best practice is that children don't need formalised education, formal teaching, until they're 6 years of age.
Right.
We know that. Every single country in the world or jurisdiction that's doing well in the 15-year-old overseas tests, they start their children at school an average of 6.5 years of age. And we are getting the idea now that the quicker we get them, the sooner we get them, the more that we can pump them with information is going to work. It's the wrong path. It's failed in America, it's failed in England, and sadly it's going to continue failing in Australia. They're killing the golden goose. Our politicians do not realise that in actual fact, if they kill the love of learning, the very thing that they want to achieve gets broken.
Yes, yes. So there's pressures on teachers as well, and I know I have friends with young children who do come home with anxiety. There's more. This is amazing to me that we're seeing young children with anxiety and depression.
It's just why they need to be protected. They should not be depressed. Children should have the happiest times of their lives as young children. I think we'd all agree to that. Yes. So why do we have this pressure that's causing all this concern? We've got to find out where it's coming from, and we've got to push it away to protect the children. That's why our advocacy group is there, Protecting Childhood, and that's why we've got academics, parents, teachers, professionals from all walks of life joining our advocacy work now, because they know that an education system can't push children to get the results that they want.
So how are you and the other members of the group trying to change things?
We're working politically and of course with the masses. We're working in many different areas. Firstly, politically, we've had a petition in front of the Queensland Parliament, and the Queensland Parliament, we had well over 7,000 signatories to our petition, and it has to be responded to. We're expecting fairly soon by the Minister for Education, and then we will respond to that. But quite honestly, Joe, all that's going to be doing is putting a band-aid on a problem that's functionally wrong right at the roots, and that needs to change. There needs to be structural change. And I agree with Sir Ken Robinson. Sir Ken Robinson says we don't need an evolution in education, which is what they keep doing. They keep adding on these broken pieces coming from America and coming from England. He says we need a revolution, and we certainly do need a revolution, because children should not be unhappy when they're in the golden ages of childhood. Take Steve Biddulph for instance. He's one of our ambassadors. And, you know, just read his books about how important it is for children to be happy. We know through evidence that children learn when they're happy. They don't learn under stress. So it's just counterproductive. The more we pile on to stress the teachers, stress the parents, stress the children, it's counterproductive to the outcomes we actually want.
So is there a system out there anywhere that is successful at the moment? You know,
the OECD started these Pisa tests. They started them around about 2009, I think it was. Might have been a bit early. But they started these tests, and the whole concept of that was to find any jurisdictions in the world where education was working really well, so that other jurisdictions or countries could model on them. We've had this pillar of success. It's called Finland.
Right.
And Finland have been accidentally at the top of these PISA rankings for years, but now this league table has become competitive, and the politicians are in there trying to get Australia up there in the top 5. The political agenda is to get Australia in the top 5 by 2025. It's a race on, say the politicians. I mean, that sort of pressure is not rightful in education, and we know it, but that's the way we're going, unfortunately.
So we as parents or teachers out there, if we feel the same way and we would like to do something to help, what can we do?
Get in touch with us. We're a groundswell. I talked about the political side of things, and you asked me before about the actual, how are we going to work? We need to get everybody on board. So people are collaborating with us now through our Facebook group, which is Protecting Childhood, and we have a web page, and we're growing and growing in our numbers. And what we're going to do next year is we're going to go national with our campaign to protect childhood. And we're working with area representatives all around Australia to pull together. And we're hoping that next year we'll have representatives in every single state and territory. And we'll be marching and demonstrating around the 1st of June, which is the Global Day of Parents, the United Nations Global Day of Parents.
Okay, great. So you can find Jonathan and the other members on the Facebook group Protecting Childhood, but also the website, which is protectingchildhood.org. So thanks very much for joining me today, Jonathan. It's been a very interesting conversation.
It's been great meeting you, Jill. Thanks.